presented by Form Communications.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first Dragons Live episode of the 2018-19 season. I'm John Webby Webking alongside Alexis Kennedy, and welcome to the show.
The Hall of Nemzik has been busy since the beginning of August as football, volleyball, soccer, cross country, and golf have all begun their early preparations for their seasons to begin. Earlier this month, we hosted our annual Media Day to learn more about the teams this year. Let's get you in the room, starting with Football Media Day.
I'm the head volleyball coach here at Minnesota State University, Moorhead, and I've been here for 20 years.
Just want to touch base on a couple of things. First off, as a whole group here, as far as, I would imagine there'll be some questions as far as the quarterback position goes. I think that's been an exciting thing that we've seen in fall camp. I feel like we've got two really good quarterbacks, both that are able to play. Both, really for the most part, are unproven and really substantial game experience. Right now, Jacob has taken the reps with the first group after what he did in the spring. Bryce has been with the twos. I think coming off that ACL was a little bit, shaky week one. I think he's been a lot better this week, and so I think that early gap the first week is closed, and so
it's time for our Dragons Live top 5 of the year.
At number 5, tennis completed one of their most successful seasons ever with a second place finish at the NSIC tournament. They finished the season with a 16-4 record, with a 9-2 conference mark, and were undefeated at home. At number 4, Aaron Sullivan became the all-time points leader at MSUM and was an All-American and All-Conference in the 100 backstroke. She finished first in the IM at the NSIC Championships and placed 5th at the NCAA National Meet in the 100 backstroke. Sullivan was the MSUM Female Athlete of the Year. At number 3, women's basketball goes back-to-back to win their second straight NSIC regular season title and their second straight trip to the NCAA National Tournament. Number 2, Josh Young, an All-American, All-Region, and All-NSIC first team in cross country, finished 33rd at the national meet. He finished first in the 1,000-meter race at the NSIC Indoor Championships and was all-conference. He took home the first place honors in the 1,500 and 800 races at the NSIC Outdoor and took 8th place in another All-American honors at the NCAA Outdoor Nationals. Young was the MSUM Male Athlete of the Year. At number 1, Brian Huber is your national champion with a long jump of 26 feet 2 1/4 inches. He also placed 3rd in the long jump at the NCAA Indoor Nationals and earned All-American honors in both.
And those are your Dragons Live top 5 moments of the year, brought to you by Valley Imports. It's time for our Calling All Athletics Alumni. Mark September 15th on your calendars for the All Dragons reunion. We're getting everyone back on campus to celebrate your time.
You want to kind of have a gauge on about where you're going to land as a football team.
Dragon football in 50 years
I don't know that there's
Head to alldragons18.com and be sure to save September 15th in your calendar for the All Dragons reunion
lessons in life
this
that
fall.
You just don't live out of fear, you live out of
as we celebrate 100 seasons of Dragons football, we wanted to see where our Dragons are today. This week takes us back to the early 2000s and outside linebacker Matt Bosch, who finished his career in 2001.
Look like it, but
today,
I think they're going to find
Bosch
a way.
and his wife Amy, a former Dragons volleyball player, live in Holly with their 4 kids.
Well,
Life on the lake
I think
provides lots
when you
of
look at
family
what
time
our
and
potential was last year and
of
where we
outdoor
hit,
life.
that was a big,
Professionally,
in my
Matt
whole
works in
coaching
real
career
estate
and playing
development
career,
with Rock
that was the
Development.
biggest gap
The
between
company's 3
potential
primary
performance at
focuses
this
are
point.
mixed-use development,
When you're
working to
around that big
revitalize
of a gap, you
downtown
certainly
Moorhead,
gotta look
and
in the
developing
mirror and do
VA
soul
clinics in the
searching as a
Midwest.
head coach, as
Amy
coaches on
teaches
staff,
at the
as
Holly
players.
School District and
You
coaches
really wanna
volleyball.
do that.
Stay
And
tuned
I've been
for
part
next
of some
week's
teams
edition
that
of Dragons
haven't
Today,
been very
and
good,
for everything
but
Dragons,
we've met our
visit
potential and maybe surpassed it.
MSUMDragons.com.
And so to not be able to do that last year, I think makes you really look and go, what went wrong? Where were we off point, and how do we got to get
The Go
that
team, we like
corrected
to
and
call
corrected
ourselves the
really
champions
fast?
of Dragon Pride. And what that
Everybody
means
had
is
that
that we
same
want to be
solid taste in
champions
their
of the
mouth
brand of
after it was
MSUM
going
Dragons.
program.
The clothes we wear,
Was happy
the
or
comments that we make, and just being
comfortable
positive
where we were.
and excited about being Dragons.
Competitor.
And the other side of that
Look
is
deep in the
being good
mirror,
at what we do.
and I think
We have a lot of
we
opportunities to
realize
win
here's
awards,
some
and
lessons
we've
that we
won
gotta move
13
forward.
national awards in the
Culture
last
doesn't
5
just
years.
run on its
And
own.
so we want to be
Team
the
chemistry
best
and bonding just doesn't
representations
happen.
of our
Those are
brand
things
and
that
champions in
you
every
have
everything that we do and helping our other Dragon teams become champions in what they're trying to be. It's an internship that's going to be different from anything else I think you're going to find, because we really strategically try to find the strengths of the individual and craft the role around those. So it's not just a cookie cutter, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that.
Well, I think what it did
You
is
really
got us
get
back
to
to the anchors
make the experience
that we
whatever
had
you
early.
want it
I
to
think we
be.
drifted a little
And
from
we're
our
firm
anchor.
believers, and you get what you
Our
put into
culture was
anything.
probably
So
stronger
the
than
harder
it
you
was.
work, the better the experience is going to be. And if it's surrounded around your strengths, you're actually going to enjoy it too.
I'm Erin Lemaire. I am a production assistant and assistant student director at the Go Team. I joined the Go Team because it was a good chance to get experience in filmmaking in a more live production setting. I like a lot of different aspects of being on the Go Team. I like running the cameras and doing all sorts of the stuff with like the broadcasting, but I also like switching, pushing the buttons and doing replay, so all sorts of things.
My name's Laurel Joseph. I take pictures for the Go Team during athletic events. And I've always kind of liked sports and I love photography, so I thought this would be a good fit since I know how sports work, and I kind of am learning about my camera, and so I decided to get more experience. I feel really proud that your work is being used and it's actually appreciated.
I am Brent Keel. I am the audio video editor and production assistant with the Go Team. I joined the Go Team to put something on my resume that was beyond just I showed up to a class, and something to show employers that I have some real world experience.
My name is Macy Miller. For the Go Team, I'm a promotions coordinator, so I get to handle all of the in-game promotions. Pretty much they give me a mic and I get to make everybody excited to be here. So that includes like running games, throwing out t-shirts. I get to smile a lot, so I really like that.
If somebody was thinking about joining the Go Team, I would tell them to definitely just try it out, at least for a game or two, just to see if they like it.
These people that you'll be working with have a lot of pull in your career, and they also give you a lot of experience that you'll need in order to start a career.
There's a lot of real experience you can get that doesn't just apply to just sports.
Producing it, in all honesty, is a really cool opportunity that we allow our students to have. And just getting involved on campus is a great way to meet people, network, and just have a good time.
It's really easy to join the Go Team. All you have to do is go to msumdragons.com/GoTeam and fill out the application. It's just your name, phone number, email, and just send us your resume. We'll bring you in for an interview, get to know you a little bit, and see if you're the right fit culturally for what we're trying to do here. But go to msumdragons.com/GoTeam to apply today.
Weeks, you can prep, you can get ready, which is different when you're playing those South games. You only play them every other year. You don't have as good a feel for what it is. So I like what the league did, and I think it's good for us. Yeah, well, I think we've kind of flushed last year and did the autopsy. Last year's time for us. I don't think there's any not a linear line, this kind of is facing peaks and valleys. We just talked about it, the real moment football thing for students, rebound, back up. This wouldn't have happened, and I think hopefully our guys in our program will be able to look back and say, hey, if it weren't for that dip there, you know what, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we're achieving right now. So this is, it's a pivot point for us, and I think these guys understand that. That means that, you know what, you better be tough, you better find a way, you better rebound off the floor. Yeah, I think if we meet our potential, if we can walk at the end of the day and go, you know what, we played as good as football as we can, regardless of how that little oblong ball bounces and if they go our way or don't, but we can at least look and say, we showed up every day, we were prepared, we played as a team, we won together, we lost together, we execute as well as we can. If we do that, we'll be okay. And I think one of the things that these guys mentioned in our different small group leadership pieces is they want to be able at the end of the year to say, you know what, we enjoyed playing with each other. But you know, and ultimately that's what this game is about. Obviously, we want to win football games, but it's the relationships that these guys build. It's the experiences they have that last longer than, you know, the season. And so they want to walk out of here and say, that was a great experience. You know what? We added value to each other. We helped others become the best self. We walked out some great memories and some great relationships.
Practice been going really well. We have a big freshman class this year. It's been very competitive between the offense and defense, and we continue to look for some of the young freshmen to come in and step up and see who can play right away. We haven't talked about it too much, but just going back to that, just going through this program for the past 4 years, I realized it's been about building relationships. And I'm excited for some of the
time for our Dragons
that
Live
built this program up
top
to see
5
where
of the year.
our class
At number
is taking
5,
this
tennis
football
completed one
program.
of their most successful seasons ever
Aaron,
with
what's
a
it like
second
with
place
Carl
finish at the
Littlejohn
NSIC
now, leading
tournament.
guys on
They finished the
defense?
season with a 16-4
Yeah, it's awesome.
record
He's a good
with
dude,
9-2
because he's played in the
conference mark
system
and were
that we're
undefeated
running.
at home. At number
He's very
4, Aaron
knowledgeable,
Sullivan became the
brings an
all-time
intensity
points leader at
for
MSUM
that line
and was
back
an
and
All-American and All-Conference in the 100
so after last
backstroke.
season,
She finished
you know, our
first in
team
the
as players and
IM at
coaches,
the
we took a
NSIC
look
Championships
at last
and placed
season
5th at the
of kinda what went
NCAA
wrong,
National Meet in the
and we
100
didn't wanna dwell on
backstroke.
it.
Sullivan
We wanted
was the
to learn
MSUM
from the
Female
experience.
Athlete of the Year.
Yeah,
At
and
number
our leadership
3,
this year,
women's
our
basketball
focus is
goes
to
back
not
to
make those same
back
mistakes
to win their second
as last
straight
year and continue to
NSIC
move
regular
forward.
season title
And we're
and their
completely
second
focused
straight
on this
trip
year.
to the
Our
NCAA
football season
National
officially
Tournament.
starts tomorrow night
Number
at 6:30 p.m.
2,
for opening
Josh
day
Young,
at Shields Field.
an All-American,
There will be the Dragon
All-Region,
Fire End
All-NSIC
Zone Extravaganza
first
beer
team
garden,
in cross
food
country,
trucks, and
finished
football.
33rd at the
Live TV
national meet.
coverage
He
begins
finished
at
first in the
6:30 p.m.
1,000-meter
on
race at the
WBAY's
NSIC
Extra.
Indoor Championships and was
We'll
all
be right
conference.
back with more
He took home the
Dragons
first
Live.
place
Stick
honors
around
in the
to hear
1,500 and
Coach
800
Kopitz
races
and
at the
Coach Blake
NSIC
on the
Outdoor
start of their
and
new
took
season.
8th place and another All-American honors at the NCAA
Another
Outdoor
day.
Nationals. Young
And
was the
just like
MSUM
every day,
Male
it
Athlete
never seems
of
to
the
slow
Year.
down.
At
But you
number
have a
1,
plan.
Brian Huber
Grab a
is
cup,
your
grab the
national
paper,
champion.
and
With a
grab a
long
little
jump
time.
of 26
Just for
feet
you.
2 1/4
It's
inches.
worth it.
He also
Don't
placed
get the paper.
3rd in the long
Just
jump
grab
at the
the phone.
NCAA Indoor
Call now
Nationals
and
and
save up
earned
to
All-American
60% off the
honors in
newsstand
both.
price.
And those are your Dragons Live
Journalists,
top 5
bringing
moments
the story
of the
home
year, brought to
every
you
day.
by Valley Imports.
Get fired up for the
Calling
new
all
shop,
athletics alumni.
MSUMDragons.com,
Mark
the official
September
online store of Dragon
15th
Athletics,
on your
featuring
calendars
top
for the
brands
All
like Under
Dragons
Armour,
reunion.
Adidas, Columbia,
We're getting
and more.
everyone
Get
back
gear in
on
women's,
campus
youth,
to
toddler, and
celebrate
infant
your time
sizes,
here at
perfect
MSUM,
for all of our Dragons
as well as
fans.
100
Support your
years
favorite
of
Dragon
Dragon
team
football
with
and
select
50
logo.
years of
Anything
Dragons
custom ships
volleyball.
in 72
Head to
hours.
alldragons
Take your tailgate to the next level with items like bleacher chairs,
and be sure to
tailgate
save
tents, and
September
lawn chairs.
15th
Get
in
the
your
gear
calendar
and
for the
support
All
your team with
Dragons
profits going
reunion
directly to
this
Dragon
fall.
Athletics from shop MSUMDragons.com. As we celebrate
Welcome back to
100
Dragons Live.
seasons
We've
of
got
Dragons
more media
football,
day
we wanted to
recap
see where
starting
our
with Coach
Dragons are
Kopitz
today.
entering her
This
third
week
year
takes
as
us back to
head
the
coach
early
of the
2000s
Dragons. Here's
and
what to
outside
look for on the
linebacker
field
Matt
this
Bosch,
season.
who finished his career in 2001. Today, Bosch and his wife Amy,
practice so
a former
far,
Dragons
we've really
volleyball
only had
player,
last night
live in
and
Holly with their
this
4
morning,
kids.
but so far it's been
Life
going
on the
really
lake
well.
provides
One of the great
lots
things
of
about this
family
year is
time
we're really senior
and
heavy. We have
frequent
7
enjoyment
seniors,
of
which
outdoor life.
is the most I've had since
Professionally,
I've been
Matt
here,
works
and so that
in real
brings a lot
estate
of
development
wisdom
with
and
Rock
experience.
Development. The company's 3
we're
primary
returning our
focuses are
all-conference
mixed-use
player, Jess Dahlman,
development,
and
working to
then Kendall
revitalize
Schauer,
downtown
who's the
Moorhead,
senior
and
captain,
developing
has been
VA
solid
clinics in the
back for us for the
Midwest.
last 2 years, so I
Amy
think
teaches at
we
the
have a lot of
Holly
good
School
leadership
District
in
and
the
coaches
offensive,
volleyball.
third
Stay
of the
tuned
field
for
and
next week's
defensive
edition
third,
of
and then
Dragons
Miriam
Today,
Sapir really
and for
kinda rounds out
everything
the group
Dragons,
with
visit
the,
MSUMDragons.com.
leadership presence in the middle of the park. So it'll be interesting for us. We'll have a new goalkeeper this year. We had 2 seniors last year, and so this year we'll be
The Go
looking
team, we like
for,
to call
you know,
ourselves the
which
champions of
goalkeeper is
Dragon
gonna
Pride.
step
And what
in
that
there and
means
take
is that we
take
want to be
his spot.
champions
So
of the
it'll
brand
be a
of
fun
MSUM
battle for the 2
Dragons. The
keepers
clothes
that
we
are on
wear
roster.
and the comments that we
I
make and
think
just
we're
being
just looking
positive
to
and excited
progress.
about being Dragons.
My
And the
first
other
year,
side
you
of
know,
that
we had
is
a
being
lot
good
of
at what
2,
we
3,
do.
4, nothing
We
losses.
have
Last
a lot of
year,
opportunities to win
nearly every
awards,
single game
and
was
we've
just
won
a 1-goal
13
loss.
national
So that
awards
means
in the
that we're
last
taking
5
steps
years. players.
in the right direction,
And so
but
we want to
couldn't
be
quite take the lead
the
of
best
scoring,
representations
or
of our
maybe
brand
getting
and
some of the
champions in
results we were
everything that
after.
we do, and
So
helping
I'm
our other
hopeful that
Dragon
this
teams
year
become
we'll have a
champions in
little
what they're
more
trying to
comfort in
do.
the attack
It's an
and be able to
internship
finish
that's
some
going
of
to
our
be different from anything else I think you're going to
get
find,
some better
because we
results.
really strategically try to find
Players
the
are
strengths of the
just a lot more
individual
comfortable in
and
the
craft
positions. You know, I
the
try to
role
make sure
around
that
those. experience. So it's not just a cookie cutter, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. You really get to make the experience whatever you want it to be. And we're firm believers, and you get what you put into anything. And so the harder you work, the better the experience is going to be. And if it's surrounded around your strengths, you're actually going to enjoy it too.
I'm Erin Lemaire. I am a production assistant and assistant student director at the Go team. I joined the Go team because it was a good chance to get experience in filmmaking in a more live production setting. I like a lot of different aspects of being on the Go team. I like running the cameras and doing all sorts of the stuff with like the broadcasting. But I also like switching, pushing the buttons and doing replay, so all sorts of things.
My name's Laurel Joseph. I take pictures for the Go team during athletic events. And I've always kind of liked sports and I love photography, so I thought this would be a good fit since I know how sports work, and I kind of am learning about my camera, and so I decided to get more experience. I feel really proud that your work is being used and it's actually appreciated.
I am Brent Keel. I am the audio video editor and production assistant with the Go team. I joined the Go team to put something on my resume that was beyond just I showed up to a class, and something to show employers that I have some real world experience.
My name is Macy Miller. For the Go team, I'm a promotions coordinator, so I get to handle all of the in-game promotions. Pretty much they give me a mic and I get to make everybody excited to be here. So that includes like running games, throwing out t-shirts. I get to smile a lot, so I really like that.
If somebody was thinking about joining the Go team, I would tell them to definitely just try it out, at least for a game or two, just to see if they like it.
These people that you'll be working with have a lot of pull in your career, and they also give you a lot of experience that you'll need in order to start a career.
There's a lot of real experience you can get that doesn't just apply to just sports.
Producing it, in all honesty, is a really cool opportunity that we allow our students to have. And just getting involved on campus is a great way to meet people, network, and just have a good time.
It's really easy to join the Go team. All you have to do is go to msumdragons.com/Go team and fill out the application. It's just your name, phone number, email, and just send us your resume. We'll bring you in for an interview, get to know you a little bit, and see if you're the right fit culturally for what we're trying to do here. But go to msumdragons.com/Go team to apply today.
Coach Tammy Blake on Media Day.
Been here for a long time. What does the year 50 signify for you?
Yeah, a lot. You know what's been really fun is I've reached out to Danella Palmer, who was the very first coach here, back. I also reached out to my parents, both those coaches have been here for a long time. Danella was the blocking. That's what it was last season, and you look, we beat Duluth, which was fourth in the country, and unfortunately we had a setting situation with setters getting injured and having to ask other players to step up and be setters that weren't setters, and then we go on to beat Duluth, who's fourth in the country. Like, what the heck happened there? Well, it was blocking, and that will be our strength, and that's a focal point for us that we'll be working on and continue to grow in. And you're right, the Northern Sun is an extremely hard league, but you know what? That's why we want to be in this league. We want to play the best. So one area that I feel we can be better offensively, but the key there is passing, and we have to be better passers than what we are. We scrimmaged a little bit today, and I felt like, you know what? I have put setters in place. We've recruited a lot of setters that can set and hit, and that's the system that we're going to be running, but we need to pass better so we can run our offense, and so that's an area that we need to work on.
This past preseason has been the longest one I've ever experienced. We're still in the middle of it and have another week going, but I think that's really beneficial for us because we have an incoming class of freshmen who is really high in numbers, which is really nice to see and really promising. Just getting to spend time with them both on and off the court. I'm really excited to see what the season holds.
Just with it being the 50th season of volleyball, is that something as a team you've talked about, and does that add or not add anything to the season as you head into it?
We've kind of mentioned it, and I think it almost makes most players like reminisce and realize that this has been going on a lot longer than just us in the years that we've been here. And a couple players have come into the gym that Tammy has introduced to us as past volleyball players, and it's just been cool to see that there's
It's time for our Dragons Live Top 5 of the Year.
At number 5, tennis completed one of their most successful seasons ever with a second-place finish at the NSIC tournament. They finished the season with a 16-4 record with 9-2 conference mark and were undefeated at home. At number 4, Erin Sullivan became the all-time points leader at MSUM and was an All-American and All-Conference in the 100 backstroke. She finished first in the IM at the NSIC Championships and
Dragon
placed
Swim
fifth at the
School is proud
NCAA
to
National
offer
Meet in the
year-round
100
swimming
backstroke.
and diving lessons
Sullivan
with
was
the
the
lowest
MSUM
student-to-instructor
Female
ratio
Athlete of
around.
the Year.
Lessons are
At number
available for all
3,
levels,
women's
including
basketball
parent-child
goes
sessions
back
and
to
preschool.
back to
Help
win their
your
second
child learn
straight
to love the water
NSIC
in a
regular
safe
season
and
title
caring
and their
environment with
second
us.
straight trip
At Dragon
to the
Swim School.
NCAA National
Visit
Tournament.
MSUM Dragons.com
Josh Young,
swim for more information.
All-American, all-region,
That's
and all-NSIC
MSUM
first team in cross-country,
Dragons.com/swim.
finished 33rd at the national meet. He finished first in the 1,000-meter race at the NSIC Indoor Championships and was all-conference. He took home the first-place honors in the 1,500 and 800 races at the NSIC Outdoor and took 8th place in another All-American honors at the NCAA Outdoor Nationals. Young was the MSUM Male Athlete of the Year. At number 1, Brian Huber is your national champion. With a long jump of 26 feet 2 1/4 inches, he also placed third in the long jump at the NCAA Indoor Nationals and earned All-American honors in both.
And those are your Dragons Live Top 5 Moments of the Year, brought to you by Valley Imports. Calling all athletics alumni, mark September 15th
when you think of
on your
cross-country
calendars
camp,
for the
you think
All
of
Dragons
just a bunch of
reunion.
guys, that's
We're
all
getting
they do is
everyone
run,
back
but,
on campus to
I mean, part
celebrate
of it,
your
yeah,
time
we
here
ran
at
a lot,
MSUM,
but
as
a lot
well
of
as
it was
100
team building
years
stuff.
of Dragon football
We
and
went to
50
Lake
years of
Itasca
Dragons
for
volleyball.
the day and just
Head
checked
to
out where it all started.
It's kind of like a get to know you, we get to know everybody in a fun environment, not as serious, and it kind of sets the tone for later on when we start getting into more serious training and stuff, and we can kind of see where
As we
everyone's
celebrate
at in a
100
low-pressure
seasons of
environment.
Dragons football, we wanted to see where our
time
Dragons
trial is
are
kind of like
today.
it's pretty
This
much
week
like a
takes
race,
us
but
back
we
to
did
the
that in
early
Lake Itasca,
2000s.
which was
An outside
really cool to
linebacker,
see. We
Matt
had a lot of
Bosch,
people
who
watching
finished
us.
his
It felt like
career
being
in
at an actual
2001.
race with
Today,
all the
Bosch
people
and his
seeing
wife
us run
Amy, a
past
former
them
Dragons
shirtless
volleyball
with
player,
these short
live in
shorts on,
Holly
so
with their 4 kids.
we got a
Life
few
on the
weird
lake
looks, but that was
provides
definitely
lots
one of the
of
cooler
family
runs
time
to do.
and
We really got to
frequent
see
enjoyment
how
of
fit we
outdoor
were and
life.
where we were on the team.
Professionally,
We get together,
Matt
we
works
do
in real
fun
estate
team
development with
activities,
Rock
such
Development.
as we have
The company's
bonfire,
3
we did a
primary
lot of
focuses
sand
are mixed-use
volleyball, that was
development,
fun.
working to
Lots of good
revitalize
rivalries
downtown
with
Moorhead,
volleyball.
and
I've got a
developing
few
VA
grudges
clinics in
with
the
some of the
Midwest.
freshmen for
Amy teaches
beating
at
me
the
this
Holly
past
School
week, so
District and coaches
pretty
volleyball.
upset about that.
Stay
but,
tuned for
it was
next
a
week's
good trip
edition
with the
of
whole
Dragons
group.
Today.
I'm really
And for
excited. We have some
everything
good,
Dragons,
some
visit
pretty solid freshmen this year, and it's
MSUMDragons.com.
exciting kind of to see where they're at, and I think that we're going to have a pretty good year. Everyone's healthy, and that's always a good thing.
We had some great team meetings with Coach
The Go
Milner.
team, we
He
like to call ourselves
really
the
gave us
champions
some
of Dragon
great
Pride. And
goals
what that
we can
means
all
is
hit
that we
this
want to be
year. I think
champions of the
this
brand
group
of
we have
MSUM
right now
Dragons.
is
The clothes we
probably
wear and the
most
comments that we make
impact
and just
that
being
we've had.
positive
It's
and
been
excited
very
about being
rewarding.
Dragons. And the other
It's just
side of
kind
that
of
is
getting them
being
to
good at what we
really
do.
take it all in
We
and
have
to ask
a
for
lot of
help when they
opportunities
need
to
it,
win
and
awards.
to
And
not
we've won
the results
13
might not
national
necessarily come
awards
right
in
away,
the
but
last
they will
5
down the
years.
road.
And so
Thanks,
we want to
coaches
be
and runners, for
the
taking us
best
along with you.
representations
They
of our
opened their
brand and
season at
champions
home
in
with
everything
the
that we
annual
do and
Dragon
helping other
Twilight
Dragon
Meet
teams
at the
become
South
champions
Moorhead
in what they're
Soccer
trying to
Field
do.
on September
It's an
7th,
internship
starting at
that's going to be
8:10
different
at
from
night.
anything else I think
Twilight
you're going
is
to
always
find
a fun
because
one.
we
Be sure to go
really
to that.
strategically
Now to
try
golf,
to find the
who hopes
strengths
to
of the
make up from a
individual
snowy spring
and
last year
craft
with some
the
tournaments
role
this
around
fall. We
those.
caught up with
So
head
it's not
coach
just a
Chelsea
cookie
McGinnis
cutter, you're going to be
talk
doing
about
this,
how
you're going
her
to be doing
team
that.
looks this
You
season.
really get to make the experience whatever
today
you
is
want
actually
it to
officially
be.
our first day of
And we're
practice.
firm believer,
The
you get
girls
what
had
you put
meetings
into anything. So the harder you work, the better the experience is going to be. And if it's surrounded around your strengths, you're actually going to enjoy it too.
I'm Erin Lemay. I am a production assistant and assistant student director at the Go Team. I joined the Go Team because it was a good chance to get experience in filmmaking, in a more live production setting. I liked a lot of different aspects of being on the Go Team. I like running the cameras and doing all sorts of the stuff with like the broadcasting, but I also like switching, pushing the buttons and doing replay, so all sorts of things.
My name's Laurel Joseph. I take pictures for the Go Team and athletic events. I've always kind of liked sports and I love photography, so I thought this would be a good fit since I know how sports work, and I kind of am learning about my camera, and so I decided to get more experience. I feel really proud that your work is being used and it's actually appreciated.
I am Brent Keel. I am the audio video editor and production assistant with the Go Team. I joined the Go Team to put something on my resume that was beyond just I showed up to a class and something to show employers that I have some real world experience.
My name is Macy Miller. For the Go Team, I'm a promotions coordinator, so I get to handle all of the in-game promotions. Pretty much they give me a mic and I get to make everybody excited to be here. So that includes like running games, throwing out t-shirts. I get to smile a lot, so I really like that.
If somebody was thinking about joining the Go Team, I would tell them to definitely just try it out, at least for a game or two, just to see if they like it.
Where relationships drive deeper, more meaningful exploration and discovery based on mutual respect and trust. Where you'll discover who you are and what you can achieve when you head out into the world to make it better. Life is more than a journey. It is a chance to transform.
And just getting involved on campus is a great way to meet people, network,
Welcome back to Dragons
and
Live,
just have a
our
good
very
time.
own
It's really easy to join the Go Team. All you have to do is go to msumdragons.com/GoTeam and fill out the application. It's just your name, phone number, email, and
Hey,
just
this
send
is
us
Doug
your
Peters.
resume.
I'm fired up
Bring
for
you
your
in
journey
for
for
an interview,
this
get to know
segment
you
of
a little
Doug's
bit, and
Desk,
see
where we
if
talk
you're
a
the
little bit
right fit
behind the scenes
culturally
of what's
for
going on
what
in
we're trying to do
Dragon
here.
Athletics.
Go to
I'll tell you what, it's a big week. We have opening home football, and a key part of the opening home football is Dragon Fire's award-winning End Zone Extravaganza. Starts 90 minutes before the games. Come on out. We got food trucks. We got adult beverages. It will be a fantastic way to kick off the 2018 football season. When we talk about other exciting things we've been working on behind the scenes of Dragon Athletics, one of the things that we're celebrating is 50 seasons of Dragon Volleyball. So you'll see things every Monday and Wednesday come out from us. We're talking a little bit about different points in history and a little bit about why people are possibly Dragon. On the flip side of that, we're also celebrating 100 seasons of Dragon Football. We're doing the same thing. We accumulate in a giant event that we're hosting on September 14th in Brooklyn. All Dragon teams will win the first overall sports community here in Dragon Athletics. We'll also have a celebration on Friday night after the volleyball game, and on Saturday morning, a brunch after the volleyball game. We'll have a live celebration around Dragon Volleyball, and that brunch on Saturday, live celebration on Dragon Football. Find everything at msumdragons.com, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Dragon football and 50 years of Dragon volleyball. Head to alldragons18.com and be sure to save September 15th in your calendars for the All Dragons reunion this fall.
I'm excited. Finally, we have a brand new MSUM Dragons app. You can update your old Dragons app or search MSUM in your app store, and you can delete the Fired Up Fan Zone Rewards app because the new version has both great live coverage and rewards together in one app that you can customize to follow only the sports that you want to follow. Get the new MSUM Dragons app today by Update App Store or by visiting msumdragons.com/app.
Thank you for joining us here on Dragons Live. We hope you enjoyed the show. For our director, Alex Nelson, assistant, Laura Alexander, Webby, and myself, thanks for watching. And of course, go Dragons!
Celebrating 50 years of Dragon Volleyball. And we've had our program conference champions. We've had the chance to be at the national tournament, the regional tournament, but probably my most